Hi, it's Jane, and I am giving you an extra episode of WOTWIP and Coffee, although I'm not drinking coffee. This is cherry limeade in water, just, cherry limeade drink in it. I just filmed the start of the second session of the shawl. Let me turn my phone off. It's going to be busy tonight. In the morning, we have prayer meeting, like about 7 o'clock in the morning at someone's house, so everybody is answering whether they're going to be there or not. So anyway, I'm going to work on that shawl as we talk a little bit, and hopefully I can do a little bit of justice as I do this along here. I have Ronan here, who thinks that he needs to play with the hook as I'm crocheting, and sometimes he gets a little rambunctious and claws at the legs, so if I cry out, that's what's going on, folks. Nothing big, I am surprised at what I'm seeing today. As you know, the jury found Trump guilty of the 34 counts. But that isn't what surprised me. What surprised me is the way that the judge instructed the jurors. And I'm not sure how they came to that. I mean, I did follow along in the trial and everything, and I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, but not really. But the thing that upset me more than that is today, a woman in, I don't remember where it was, but she attempted to steal a police officer's cruiser, which she did successfully steal it from him. He was trying to keep her from getting in the car. She was naked, and she backed over and ran over him, giving him some injuries and concussion, a couple of other things. But they found her innocent of all those charges. But every bit of it was on video. Now, I realize she has mental health issues. However, she was guilty. Even in a psychotic break, she was guilty of attempting to kill this officer by running him over. Definitely injury. She was also guilty of stealing the car and all kinds of other things. But they let her off. And it just boggles my mind what's going on with the court systems we're seeing. Seems like day after day, even with 100% evidence, they're letting off people who should be found guilty and prosecuting and finding guilty those people that there's very little evidence. It's just bizarre to me. So maybe we really are in the end times, you think? Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy if you ask me. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Our world is getting crazier. Doesn't seem like it's getting much better these days, does it? And then we have a president that, I had someone that quoted was quoting part of his speech, talking about how wonderful this president is and everything, and I'm thinking, this is the same president the day before at a rally said We can't possibly win, so we have to vote Trump in for another term. His words, not anybody else's, his words. And somebody's pulling the strings with this guy, because you know he's not competent. I mean, he has that blank stare that I have witnessed in patients with Alzheimer's and dementia for years. So I have no doubt that he has no clue what's really going on around him, which is sad. He truly is a Manchurian candidate. Truly is. A couple of years ago, he might have been capable and competent, but I really don't think he's competent. I do find it interesting that the physician will not do a mental competency test on him. Which, come on, at age 65, they did it on me in a yearly health exam. So yeah, we should know what that is, and he should have it done. You know? So I don't know. I do find it crazy. It's going to be an interesting year. Definitely going to be an interesting year. And I saw a sign where folks said that we should trade 100 U.S. pro-Palestinian college students for each one of the Jewish captives in trade. And I do find that funny because these students have no idea, what they're supporting. They don't even know what the Palestinian people believe, what they stand for. They don't understand what Hamas is calling for. So, I don't know. Find it interesting. Miss Izzy, let go, let go. No, let go. Yep, I'm gonna have to move it up here to my side. Cats are too busy trying to help me here. I told you they took off with one of my Tunisian hooks, didn't I? Have no idea where they took it, what they did with it. I'm hoping that someday I find it. I'm hoping that it got stuck under a chair or something that I haven't moved yet. So, I'm sure I'll find it. They usually do turn up quickly. But I mean, they will take pencils out of I have a cup on the table that I put pens and pencils in. And I noticed lately that that's what they happen to be taking out. I'll find a pen here and there, and I realize those silly cats have pulled them out of that pen cup. Before, they didn't bother that at all. And I know they get up on the table while I'm sleeping. I have no doubts of that. Although they don't do it in front of me very often. Izzy does it every once in a while. And she gets in trouble for it. Of course, she'll swat at me when I go to try to move her to get her down. Like, no, you need to get down. Get off the table. She is my little stubborn girl. So, yeah. And this is what they call the horizontal stripes section of that shawl, and it's the Tunisian Winter 2007 mitered corner shawl. Try to remember to leave a link down below. I don't always remember it. Link to the pattern. Just because I'm forgetful. And I'm marking my rows as I go, so I know kind of where I'm at. Because I can easily get turned around and not understand where I'm at and what I'm doing. Like I just forgot to do the increase there at the inside to rip that out and go back. Normally tonight is the night that my neighbors that are kind of catty corner from me, they have a band that normally meets in their garage and they practice. Well, from over here it doesn't always sound good. Tonight they're not meeting, they met this morning. So that was kind of interesting to realize that I could hear that when I first was going through the video and editing it. Had to edit out that background noise. So that is always fun to do. Editing, oh my goodness. That can take a long time, and then if you render it down into a smaller file to upload, that takes time. And then uploading it, sometimes that takes forever. A lot of it depends on the traffic on YouTube. If there are a lot of people uploading at the same time, it's really slow. I've had things take up to an hour, and I've got some pretty screaming hot speeds on my internet, so I know it happens, and just aware of it, and kind of have to move on and not worry about it. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, right? I was watching Anna Passwater of Tales from the Craft Room, and she's doing a Tunisian in the round hat. She figured out how to do it in knit stitch. She figured out how to do it without doing the return pass. And it's amazing. So I hope those of you that do Tunisian, if you've ever considered doing a hat in the round in Tunisian, go look at that latest video of hers, because it's absolutely amazing the way that it's coming out knit in the round. And I'm impressed, very impressed. Now I kind of want to start a hat in the round. However, I will say these Dreams hooks that I have, sometimes they're called Knitter's Pride. I get them at Knit Picks. They have the Caspian and Sunstreak, I think. I think they have one other, Radiant, that they call it. But they're basically the Knitter's Pride Tunisian crochet hooks. but I think they're a little too long for doing a hat in the round. You would almost need a very small Tunisian crochet hook, and I don't know that I have seen one that small. So, there's always that. I saw somewhere a pattern for a garter stitch cardigan or sweater. Now, garter stitch is one of my favorite stitches. So I'm like, maybe I'll do that. You know, with that cardigan that I was doing, I wasn't really enjoying doing. Maybe I'll do a garter stitch cardigan out of that instead. And that was my big comfy knit. Maybe I'll just turn it around instead of doing it in knit stitch. Do it in garter. Because that would be mindless knitting. That's just knitting every row. Then you turn your work, knit it back all the way around. But I love the squishiness of the garter stitch. And I don't have enough things in garter stitch. So I think I would like to try that. So maybe once I do rip that, sorry about that guys. Once I do rip that cardigan out, I'll try that. When I finish this row, this will be the second set of row B. I'll let you see what it looks like so you can kind of get an idea of the way that the horizontal stripes are coming out. They're kind of neat. My car inspection is due this next month. I hate that time of year. Always dread going in. Always afraid they'll find something that has to be done. That is how that is coming out, where there's horizontal stripes. I do like that. I like that. It's nice. And on the back side, you get a little bit of a ridge too. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun sitting there. I watched Bag of Day's recent video with the mystery box that she got. She got a great deal on that mystery box. All that beautiful yarn, all those notions. Wow. Amazing. And then, of course, I watched the one with the mandalas, the new mandala colors that she got in. Some of them I'm like, I don't know about those. Some of them, absolutely stunning. But I'm trying very hard to do a no buy. That my buy should be only necessary. If I need something to get something finished or to make a certain project someone has asked for and I don't have it available. That's hard to do. When you're a yarn addict, that is terribly hard to do. And I would love to buy yarn left and right, but I've determined to get my stash down a little bit and to work from my stash. I don't have any excuse not to be able to work through my stash and get quite a bit accomplished with it. Only problem is when those new colors come out, kind of want them. That's okay, I'll be all right. And I don't know if the impressions line I sort of like, but then again I'm like, nah, not really. I think they're kind of dull. I think that's why I don't find them that interesting in that impression line that they do. So, yeah. I watched the tribute to Buddy, Connie's little buddy. He passed away, and I was really upset to hear that. We occasionally went on tuna dates. That's what we called them. I'd say hello to Buddy. He'd go on a tuna date. And I'd hear all the antics about Buddy, some of the things he did, about his antics in the bathroom. So, he was a sweet little boy. I am so glad that Barb let her and Frank have Buddy for his last year. I would hope that he would have lived longer, but sometimes things happen with cats. You really have no idea what's going on. I know with my Kodiak, they thought at first that he had kidney cancer, and then they thought there were some other things going on, and in the end they really had no clue. And he sadly, we got up one morning and he had passed away. So, yeah, that's always upsetting to lose your little fur babies. But it's a part of life, unfortunately, and we have to learn to deal with those hurts and move on a little bit. And I will tell you, there are many times here with Izzy that I will accidentally call her Caitlin. And I don't know what it is, but every once in a while she does something that reminds me of Caitlin. And I will call her Caitlin. And she turns around and looks at me like, what? And then I'm like, why do I keep calling you Izzy? Calling you Caitlin. Izzy? Keep thinking it's just something that she does that Caitlin used to do. And Caitlin, of course, was Thomas was her human. She just tolerated me, or I was the spare human. I've seen that called sometimes. She would tolerate me. And when Thomas was, if he was gone for any length of time, she would just put up with me. And she'd yell at me when it was time to eat, and after she had had her fatty liver disease, Thomas would hand feed her. He would hold that bowl while she ate. That was his way of making sure she got enough to eat. Now, I would not hold that bowl for her, and it used to tick her off no end. She would take a couple of bites and she'd look at me and go, until I picked up that bowl, when Thomas was gone. So those are some fun memories that I used to have of Caitlin. But there are times Izzy she cracks me up with the way she acts. Now this afternoon, they were just wild as could be. They were running back and forth. Of going from the front to the back, to the front to the back. And I thought, are the deer out there? It's too early for the deer. So I go looking. No deer. They're just watching the weeds. I'll call them weeds. And the bamboo. Sorry about that. Had to do a battery change. Happens every once in a while. It's annoying, but gotta do it. Anyway, so that they were busy, just watching the leaves of the weeds and the bamboo just blowing in the breeze. It was a nice little breeze this afternoon. I'd fixed dirty rice for dinner, and I didn't realize I'd picked up dirty rice. Normally I like red beans and rice, by Zatarans, and generally I will take Polish kielbasa or smoked sausage, cut that up, kind of crisp those up on the edges, and or brown them, and then put in the mix for the red beans and rice, and then have that for a meal. Well, several meals. It normally feeds me about 4 times. But one of the things that I find interesting is Ronan thinks he needs to taste everything that's on my plate. Now, Ronan is a big fan of potato chips, so I do give him a little chip every once in a while. Not a whole chip, just a little piece of a chip. Because human food's really not good for cats. But, he's up there trying to steal my dirty rice. So I let him have a little bite of it. And I think he thought it was a little spicy, which I agreed. There are a couple of bits in there were a little bit too spicy for even me. So he'd take off and went to go get a drink. Then he'd turn around and give me the look like, you did that on purpose. Not really. But anyway, with the red beans and rice, lots of times what I find I like to do is just put it on a tortilla shell, eat it like a burrito. Sometimes I add cheese, sometimes I don't. Nice little meal. Yeah, it's high carb. But you know what? Every once in a while, you gotta treat yourself to something like that. And every once in a while I crave it, and I know me. It's better off just to give in to it, because I'll make it, and then I'll wrap up some burritos with them, freeze it, and have those for meals later on, every once in a while. So, yeah. Chantel had commented when I'd asked yesterday about things that go on in her community. She lives in Montreal, and she was talking about all the different things that they have there, during the summer months after, their winter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds like fun. So, yeah, I think that's the time of year to go to Montreal when they have all those activities going on. And I do love jazz festivals because they're always interesting, to see. Now this one tends to curl this up a little bit. I don't know if I like that part. But oh well, we're going to move on. And I will tell you, I have decided I am only going to do 4 rows of A, 4 rows of B. I don't like that little bit of the curl, so that's all I'm going to do is 4 rows of each. Because I'm not a fan of that bit of the curl. And I'm thinking about maybe even going back and doing some Tunisian simple stitch in between that row and the next row. That's the point of this. It is a sampler. Granted, you do want to do what she is doing in that so that you get the effect of what she's done, but you can change it up too. I always find people funny when I've had people, talking to me about different patterns. When they're doing patterns and they talk about, I don't like doing this, in this part of the pattern, I don't like that stitch. And I'm like, so change it. Do something different. Do a stitch you like to do. Well, that's not part of the pattern. So are you that tied to the pattern you can't strike out on your own and play with it? I think sometimes we are too afraid to be a little adventurous with our knitting and our crochet. I know I told you last time I don't like noops, and I don't care for, I don't really care for popcorn stitches. Not popcorn stitches, puff stitches. But I will do a puff stitch. I will not do a noop. And I think someone had mentioned that they call them warts. So I do find that rather interesting. And that, of course, made me giggle. The idea of warts in your work. Oh, goodness. I think Rose had mentioned on one of my, maybe it's when I was talking about the washcloths to send. I think Rose said they were close to the 500 that she had asked for one of the groups. But then again, you still have the other group that, they don't have a specific number. And I will tell you, we had someone in our group asking because they were making soap sacks. This was local. And they had asked where they could donate those locally. And Dee Frazier, she lives in South Williamsport near me. She had mentioned she does sacks. It's s.c.a.c.k.s.com, I think. But she makes soap sacks for that organization. And she does send some off to the organization itself. But she did mention that many times homeless shelters will take them, and many times food banks will take them for donation, to hand out with the with the different food banks programs. So those are a couple of ways you could, possibly use up those soap sacks, washcloths. At least it's worth checking out, right? The other thing that I had mentioned is even AIDS to Family and Children, AFDC. People always take that as a group that breaks up a family, and they really try to keep the families together. But sometimes there are families that have such big needs that almost anything can help them. And so you might want to check with them, see if they could use those to hand out to some of their clients. CASA workers, I would check with CASA and see if they can use those. When I was living in Roswell, one of our local CASA workers, they took all kinds of things like that. They took baby Afghans, baby sweaters, because there was always someone that was in need. and they could always get that to someone who had a need for it. So those are a couple of ideas to do locally that you can check into. Don't be afraid to do that. And of course, as you know, Lisa with Lisa Lark. Oh goodness, why can't I think of your channel name? Hooked Creations. She has that program with Webster where they will take things, so, like hats for their clients. So there's always some place that you can donate where you don't always have to mail off. It's like Rose says, if you can donate locally, donate locally. And of course, if you do, like what I have done in the past, people start contacting you for things or where to find things to get. Yeah. That's how I came across doing all these things for the UPMC for the babies, the moms and the babies. It was through the prayer shawl ministry. But unfortunately, through the prayer shawl ministry, many of the ladies did not want to do baby hats each month. I did have a group of crocheter knitters at the fire hall that they would make baby hats. We would do themed hats each month and take those into the nursery. But unfortunately, after COVID, that kind of disbanded and never really got started back up again, unfortunately. So I lost that group, and the women in the prayer shawl ministry were not interested in making baby hats, different themes each month. So that kind of got put on the wayside, although the marketing director still keeps my name and contact information and, quite frequently asks me to help out with whatever they're doing, for the special holidays and those kind of things. So, yeah. The bamboo with the rain, where I had cut it down so well in front of those boxes, of the utility boxes, is back up. It's almost to my waist. So I'm still fighting with the bamboo. I try to go out each day when I have time to go out there, and if it's not too muddy, because right there in that area it can get pretty muddy, and I hate the idea of slipping and falling. So many times I will go cut. If it's not muddy, if the day is nice, I'll cut a little in the morning, cut a little in the evening. Try to get rid of it. I do need to get some more poison though, pour down into those stalk roots to hopefully kill it. It is a sturdy little pest. So yeah, I mean, it does look beautiful. It's a great little bush, but it'll overtake everything in your yard. It will overtake everything if you don't take care of it. And that's the way bamboo does any species of bamboo. It's like strawberries. The rhizomes just keep spreading and they spread out further and further. So, watermelon sort of does that too. When I was growing up in New Mexico, the round watermelon. When I met my husband, they called it volunteers. But growing up in New Mexico, it's where people had thrown out the seeds or had eaten the seeds of the round watermelon, and they had basically planted themselves, grown, and those vines will go out forever. But we'd go out into the field and pick up small round watermelons. Have those almost probably from about March, maybe April through about September, sometimes October, depending how warm it was. You could go out and get you one. You could eat one daily if you wanted. But yeah, those were rather fun to eat. And they volunteer themselves. That's the way bamboo does. It volunteers itself. Volunteers to go on forever and ever. All right, I have gotten to that last row, and I am going to let you go for now, and I will talk with you again at some other time. As always, be a little kinder to yourself, be kind to one another. Get out there and see this big, beautiful world we live in. See you again soon, friends. Bye.